you're all probably sick of hearing about this, but I'm going to talk about the Nationals trip one more time. So, you all probably know the beginnings of the story. 7 people on the team, go to state, win state, go to Nationals. You get the gist, you've heard it before. I've talked about it twice, everyone else on the team has talked about it twice. You get the idea. But we talked about the good parts, the fun parts, the parts where we win. We usually don't talk about the parts where it wasn't so fun, or we didn't get along and we didn't exactly win. When we first started out, for example, was pretty bad. We did not have a full team. We started 2 members down, and not even our coach actually knew what we were doing. The rules were a complete mystery to us, and we had about 2 months before our first competition. The first competition rolled around. We'd managed to find our 2 extra members, and still none of us were friends, mind you. We still all pretty much hated each other's guts and hated seeing each other every morning for an hour a day. But we were there because we felt like winning. We didn't, of course, because that wouldn't be easy, would it? We ended up scoring 15 points out of a possible 500. As you can probably see, that's not great. We didn't know the actual rules. We were using a rule set from years previous, which was no longer correct. And thusly, we kind of ended up getting last place at the Invitational tournament, which 15 points, it's kind of obvious we did. We decided to not just quit at that point because we still wanted to beat our rivals, DC, who were having a lot of fun rubbing in our faces the fact that they just absolutely kicked the crap out of us. So our next competition was coming that January, meaning we had another couple months to get everything started and actually realize what the rules of the competition of the game we were playing were. So we would go in every morning and spend an hour a day before school working on learning this competition, on learning parliamentary procedure, which if you know what parliamentary procedure is, you know that's no easy task to understand what is going on. We eventually, most of us, became friends, but there were some people who stayed to be apologists during the whole time and would find joy in causing fights among the group. We had a lot of spats. The team nearly broke up like 3 to 4 times. You get the idea. It wasn't fun. But by the time regional competition rolls around, this is the qualifier round. If you lose here, you're done. You wasted all that time, all those hours and hours before school, kaput. Might as well not have done it because you're out. There are the top 2 teams in any region go to state level. And so we just had to, that means in our region we only had to beat 1 team. We just couldn't get last. So we thought, okay, we'll probably make state. We just want to still get first though, because the teams consisted of us, DC, and EVW. Of course, DC being our rivals, we would love to have beat them. Of course, that did not happen. We ended up getting 2nd place, DC beating us by a fairly large margin, about 50 points. We were okay with going to state, but we were still unsure of whether we would be able to beat DC at state since we lost to them every time we'd gone up against them. Not to mention there were other teams who were debatably better than DC was. So state ends up happening in April, which means that we have all winter and most of spring to get better at our competition, so we pick up the pace. Rather than meeting at 7 every morning, we meet at 6:30, often mornings, rather than only 7. We pick up the hours, do more tests, do more work every day. Longer and longer. We end up hating each other probably more than before, but it works. We finally make it all the way to state. We're there. We're ready, or so we think, and we go into competition. At state there are 2 rounds. You do 1 demonstration, that's the eliminator round. Anyone who doesn't do well enough there is eliminated. And then you do a 2nd demonstration in front of a large group of people to see who the final round winners are. We make it past the first round by the skin of our teeth, let's just say. We were the bottom team on the final round roster. And so we didn't think that we were probably going to win this year at state. But that was a moment that our team decided to pick up the pace and ended up making it much further, much faster than we expected, and we ended up getting first at state. How? I still have no idea. But we moved on to nationals, and while we were at nationals, we did better than even at state. And I personally got basically what is the MVP award for the competition. Best member is what they called it, but either way, it's the equivalent of an MVP. And from there, we only got 4th place at nationals, and we were wondering how was that to happen. And so we learned that even when you are at your best, like we were, there is always someone better. And that was the time I was at my best.